If your team got guaranteed money, tell them call me.
Whoop. Make me say, my. I done been around the world.
Yeah, I was made for this.
Player Performance with J.A. Cavalier.
Welcome, everybody, to the Player Performance Show. College football week 1 edition. It is back, baby. College football, the main slate, appetizers over. I know every show says, oh, the appetizer to the main dish. It gets a little bit hacky, but I digress. We are back. Guns Picks here, and I'm with my man, the to my right. It's going to be here for the rest of the season, just breaking down college football here. It is Coach Rick. What's going on, my friend?
What's happening? Week 1, looking forward to it. Let's get this season rocking and rolling. Time to make some big bucks.
Absolutely. Had me a tremendous week 0. I think I went 6-1 on the week 0 slate, but you're only as good as your last week. And now we get the big boys. We get the ranked opponents. We had a little bit of the ranked opponent taste in Ireland, but that's neutral site stuff. Now we get into some like home versus away stuff, a couple of good early games. What we're going to do in the show, we're going to break down a 6-pack of games, and we're going to give you another game as a bonus that we like as well. Could be a side, could be a total, could be anything. It could be anything outside of the top 25. Particularly, we're going to be talking about the bigger games on the board, and then we're going to break down some of the stuff on the outside. So stay tuned, hit the like button, enjoy the show. Player Performance starts right now. And we're going to go to the first game on the board here, and it's going to be the first one out the gate. It is Boise and South Florida at Raymond James Stadium Thursday, and it's 5:30 p.m. Eastern time is the kickoff on this one. And yes, you have a Boise team that has lost a lot of key weapons on the offensive side of the ball that brought them to the college football playoff, and you have a South Florida team, regardless of the packages they had to put together with the injuries that they had, they put themselves into bowl eligibility and did very well. And now, are they on the up and up and Boise on the down? I'll pass it to you, Coach. What do you think about this game?
Well, this should be a great one. South Florida, of course, the alma mater of my wife. Boise, people thinking, hey, they're going to take a drop off because they don't have Ashton Genty. Not so fast, my friends, in the words of the great Lee Corso, who's going to be on College Game Day on Saturday for the last time. Malik Sherrod is a 6th-year running back for Boise, ran for almost 1,000 2 years ago. Didn't play last season because he was hurt. Sire Gaines ran for a couple hundred early. He was hurt last year. But Spencer Danielson, head coach of Boise, they want to run the football, and they're going to. That's what they do. They will have, and they do have, the best offensive line in the Mountain West, maybe the best offensive line out west, including everybody. I mean, 4 or 5 starters, they're good, and they're going to run the ball, and they will. Maddox Madsen, QB, stud. I look for him to play well. 9 starters back on offense. I mean, come on. You think there's going to be a drop-off? I don't see it. On the other end, South Florida, Alex Golish, 3rd year, 7-6, 2 years in a row. This is a tough football team with some serious athletes. Quarterback Byron Brown back from injuries, healthy. 6 starters on defense. They're opportunistic as well. 13th in turnovers gained last year. 6th in tackles for loss. They just get after it on defense. So the problem with this game is the line, because it's 5.5. It's the devil's number, right? What do you do? So you have to go Boise or stay home. If you like South Florida, this is what I'm going to do. I like South Florida because they're going to be fired up. It's going to be hot as freaking balls, especially to start the game at 5:30, 6, 7 o'clock. That's big time heat in Florida. Boise won't be used to that. I like South Florida on the first quarter money line. Take them early while they're all jacked up, juiced up, taking advantage of the heat. And that's the play that I'll make. And eventually maybe I can talk myself into Boise, -5.5. I don't know. We'll see.
Yeah. I mean, I guess the number keeps getting steamed down, right? We've seen
Yeah.
sevens out there, and of course, like the 7 is a key number in football. I always say like there's no key numbers in college football, in my opinion. That it's like loose slots. It's not like the NFL, very sharp on that end. But I mean, you mentioned everything on the Boise side. It's not. I mean, they do lose some key weapons. They lost their number 1 receiver. They lost Aston Genty. But yes, this is a Boise team that has been good over the years and has found ways to win regardless of any situations or any turnover of the roster. And then with the UCF side, I mean, don't sleep on this team, mind you. 16 starters back on this team. Byron Brown is back. He was hurt most of the year last season. And this is a guy in the 2023 campaign when he played a full year, put up 3,300 passing yards and 800 yards on the ground. So he can run the ball, he can pass the ball. There's going to be some dynamic of that in this game. Could be some rain in the area. You know it's going to be humid in Florida. That's going to be a dynamic that plays into the advantage of UCF. But this is, ironically, the 5th year in a row that Boise has to start on the road. They're 1-3 and 0-4 ATS in their last 4 road openers, so take note of that. But, I mean, South Florida is not that great as well, I mean, with the numbers that they've had. But I'm looking at the total on this one, and I know the total is kind of high. We're seeing like 62.5 on the board currently. But I think the travel going into your first game, you got to play in that Florida. There's going to be a climate and an adjustment there that could slow the game down some. And maybe South Florida wants to keep that offense off the field. If you look at the offensive production of Boise on the road last season, 31 points per game on the road versus 43 at home on the blue turf. But Boise will have to do it without those key weapons, so there's going to be an adjustment there. UCF's defense brings back 8 starters, and they improved last year. They actually made their average opponent points per game to 5 points less than they did in 2023, so it's an improving defense. And I think this Boise team, with 7 returning starters on that defense, they're going to be very good. They only gave up 22.1 points per game last season, so you would think it's a high total, but if you actually go and look at the high totals in South Florida games last year, they went under. So I think even though with the high total on this one, I think the under is a look. First game out the gate, you got to play at 5:30. Sun's still shining, beaten down. I don't see a high-scoring game in week 1. I'm looking at the under 62.5 on this one, and we'll keep it moving along. Next one out the gate. This game is going to be electric on a Friday night in Waco, Texas. It is Auburn. It is Baylor. McLean Stadium. It's going to be rocking there. What a game out the gate. We've talked about these on multiple conference previews. How much we love Auburn. You see Coach wearing the hat for a reason. We love Baylor as well. However, this matchup, we know it was going to be key to what's going to start or maybe put a little bit of a halt to the season. Of course, Baylor having that slow start last year. Auburn kind of wishy-washy all over the place, more predicated on the fact that their offense was terrible. Changes have been made, but I'll pass it to you, Coach. What do you think about Auburn versus Baylor?
Yeah, and I may be biased because I got a guy he's probably going to play. He may even start. Their center was dinged up in practice. But they returned 4 offensive line starters. They brought in Jackson Arnold. They actually have 2 other QBs that pushed him during fall camp. So they've got some talent. Their offense is definitely going to be better. And I think the number says that. I mean, this is an Auburn number. It's -2.5. I like it. But really, like I said, it's the guys up front. It's the Auburn defense, which was very good last year. I expect them to play well again. They play well early in seasons. Like that's a Hugh Freeze thing. They always have everywhere he's been. They've been good early. 5-0 in their last 5 August games. They've won 7 straight season openers. All of Hugh Freeze's season openers. Baylor on the other side, like we talked about how important this game was when we did the conference previews. Like it's a huge game. Like Baylor has to figure it out. What they have to figure out is defense. And Dave Aranda's a defensive guy. I think he at some point he will. Their offense is very good. Like I said, this is going to be just a great clash of 2 teams that really, really need a win. Baylor's at home. I get it. But the number just screams to me Auburn. I'm going to, again, I might be biased, but I'm going to back Auburn -2.5.
I mean, it is an Auburn number. Absolutely. And you got the 2.5. That means you can kind of get a decent line on the money line too. So it's always favorable if you want to win in this one. But I think we're looking at a back and forth game. Knowing that the fact that if you look at the Baylor offense, they've pretty much stayed virtually intact. And if you watch them at the second half of the year, they kind of were stuck in the mud early in the season. But when you check the second half of the year, right around 7 games, actually probably 5 or 6 games in, they started averaging high scoring in conference against better teams, 39.8 points per game in their last 7 games of the season. That's how Baylor's offense did. I don't think that momentum changes knowing they got a lot of those weapons back. And then you look at Baylor's defense. Talk about absolutely terrible. They were awful against the passing game. They gave up 300 yards of total offense. 300-yard passing offense to 5 out of their last 7 games of the year and 400 yards of total offense in 8 out of the last 10 games of the year in 2024. And they still were winning games. So that tells you not only Baylor was giving up points, so was Baylor putting up points. And then you got Auburn. What was their issue last year? We said it on the preview show. It wasn't their defense. It was their offense. They couldn't put the biscuit in the basket. They could put up yards, but it'd be a turnover in the red zone. It was absolutely frustrating, I guess, for Hugh Freeze. Made him, Peyton Thorpe out, put in Jackson Arnold. And Jackson Arnold, we got to see a little bit of a sample size. He was a little bit off and on at Oklahoma, but we know he's got the talent. And then he's got great receivers to back him up. Eric Singleton coming over from Georgia Tech. 2 rising stars that we need to talk about that aren't talked about enough is Cam Coleman and Malcolm Simmons. These guys were kind of overshadowed by the number 1 receiver last year, but these guys were just like freshmen last year, okay? Now they're in their sophomore year. They've been in the system for a bit. Watch out for these 2. And adding Singleton to that element, you have to watch 3 weapons on the field. So I think this offense is going to have a very big come up. And the books are kind of agree with this total at 58.5. All of Auburn game is like, if you look at the highest totals in Auburn's games, and I'm talking about 55 or more, Auburn was 2-0 to the over. Baylor, when the total was 55 or more last year, 6-0 to the over. So I think this is an overline all day long. Got it at 58.5. I think this is going to be a high scoring affair on a Friday night. It's going to be electric. Crack your beers, sit in front of the TV on a Friday night, and watch a scoring affair with the Auburn and Baylor. It's going to be electric. I can't wait for it. Next game on the board, another big one, big noon kickoff in the shoe, Columbus, Ohio, 12 p.m. This should be a night game, folks. However, Fox owns the rights. They can do whatever the hell they want, and we got this as an early game. Am I complaining? Absolutely not. I'm not complaining, but I can't wait to watch this one. This is a potential look ahead, or a preview, I should say, of the college football playoff. We'll have to see. Have two new quarterbacks, a lot of changes in the rosters, but these are 2 programs that recruit, build up teams. So it's going to be this could be huge for the implications of the college football playoff. We'll have to see, but I'll ask you, Coach Rick, what are your thoughts of Texas versus Ohio State?
Oh, this would be a great one. I actually won't watch it. I'm going to record it because I'm going to watch my guy at Purdue beat up on Ball State.
Oh, there you go.
But anyway, I'll watch it later. So great. This is a great football game. You know, you mentioned college football playoffs. They met last year in the semis. Ohio State won 28-14, I believe. And then there's the narrative coming into the game where, it's Arch Manning. We've all heard the Arch Manning this, Arch Manning that. And then on the other side, it's, Julian saying, hey, the new quarterback, he's young, blah, blah, blah. I don't think this game's about either one of those guys. This game's about defense, and these are just 2 outstanding defenses. And Texas returns about 5 or 6 starters. Anthony Hill, he might be the best linebacker in the country. And Texas just plays great defense. On the other end, Ohio State actually was the best defense in the country last year. Mm-hmm. They lose a ton. But, man, they bring back, like the dudes they bring back, God, if you don't know the name Sonny Styles, like you got to look him up. I know his dad's Lorenzo Styles. He was from Sharon, Pennsylvania. He played at Ohio State as well. But Sonny's freaking 6'5". I think he weighs like 245 or 250 now. And he's legit like 4.5 40s. Like when he goes to the NFL Combine, he'll probably run in the 4.4s. Stud, absolute stud. Caleb Downs could be the best free safety in the country. Stud. I mean, the total was what, 50 and a half, 51, somewhere up there. Now down to 47 and a half. Like, that's telling you something, right? So I think they're going to play a tight, lower scoring game. If you like the under, that's surely a look that's worth it. At 1.5, like Ohio State at home in the horseshoe, that's probably a great look as well. Ohio State too plays well against really, really good teams. 7-1 in their last 8 games against a top 25 scoring defense, and they covered the spread in 6 out of 8 of those 8. So they rise to the level of their talent that they're playing against. But here's the play I like best. I will play this probably every week of the season until it tells me not to do it. But this will be on my best bet list every Saturday or whatever day they're playing. Is the best wide receiver in the country, Jeremiah Smith, for an anytime touchdown. I looked today, it was minus 120. They're telling you, like, hey, he's going to score. He scored 15 touchdowns last year. I forget the number of games that he scored in, but that's my best play, Jeremiah Smith, for anytime touchdown. If you like the 1.5, you like the under, hey, have that at those as well.
I'm trying to figure out what nickname Gus Johnson's going to give Jeremiah Smith this year. Is it going to be, you had Maserati Marv, you got Jaguar Jeremiah, touchdown Ohio State. That's what I want to hear. I already got thinking about that, man. Oh,
that's a solid Gus right there, man.
Yeah, I've been working on it for many years. I love a good Gus. Touchdown. Yeah. All right. But when we look at this game, it's like you mentioned a couple of key statistics, at least trends when it comes to Ohio State. Yes, they do play well in the big game. It's always like mid-season or late season they kind of play those big ones. When they play these early non-conference games, I've seen it against Notre Dame. They didn't cover that early one, week 1. We can go back as far as Oregon losing that game outright. I think they were a double-digit favorite in that one. There's just a bunch of different elements where you've seen them kind of underperform in season openers. I think they're 0-3-1 in ATS their last 4. So keep that in mind there. I'm not saying that this is a Texas spot. I'm a little bit hesitant to take the side on this one on that as well because you're dealing with 2 young quarterbacks. You mentioned it, Coach. Julian Sainz coming in. I think he's thrown 4 balls in his career at Alabama. And then you saw sample sizes of Manning playing, but you've never seen him in the bright lights, a big game. And his first start of his career at Texas is at the shoe on the road. It's a tough environment. And it doesn't matter that the defense is, you still have Caleb Downs. He's a huge star. And it doesn't matter. The reload of this Ohio State team, there's guys that have been in the system 2 or 3 years anyways. They're just waiting for their turn. They're ready to go. So I don't think there's going to be much turnover there. But I'm questioning the coordinators on this one. Remember, Chip Kelly's gone. So they bring in Brian Hartline. I've never seen him be an offensive coordinator before. I know he's been a positional coach. He might be fine. And then the defensive coordinator change, of course. Penn State's defensive coordinator jumps ship, goes to Penn State. And they bring in Matt Patricia, who I don't think has coached college football. He has coached in the pros. He's shown to be a good defensive coordinator for the New England Patriots, bad head coach for the Detroit Lions. But I don't know much about him either. So there's question marks there. The total, you mentioned the total. Very enticing to me because it went from 50.5. Now it's jumped to 47.5. I think you can still find a little bit of juice. You can get 48.5 on that one. I think it's going to be more of a defensive affair, knowing that these quarterbacks are young. They're trying to get their footing in real game situations, and that plays better to the defenses than anything else. Don't sleep on Texas's defense. The linebacker core is ranked, I think, in a lot of people's analyst books as number 1 in the country. I think they did the good job with the revamping the defensive line with the transfers that they had. And this defense is going to be absolutely stout, probably top 10 defenses, kind of mirror what we saw with Ohio State. And then Ohio State's probably going to be a top 10 defense too. So I'm leaning towards the total on this one, and I like the under. I got it at 48.5. I'd still take, I know 48's a key number on this one, but I think these guys will be button heads. These guys, I know Texas wants that pound of flesh versus Ohio State, and Ohio State's not going to give them much either on the defensive side. We'll see what happens, but I like the under in that game, 48.5. Next game on the board. We're just going big game after big game. This might be the biggest week one that we have ever seen in college football, at least from my memory. And we get LSU and Clemson, Memorial Stadium, Clemson, South Carolina, 7:30 p.m. primetime game in Clemson, which we haven't seen a home game in Clemson in week one since 2019. And of course, you got LSU. Well, we know what LSU does in week one. It didn't matter if Brian Kelly was there. It didn't mean if Coach O was there. The last time they won a game in week one, a guy named, I don't know, Joe Burrow was the quarterback for that team. Keep that in mind. But I'll pass it to you, Rick. LSU versus Clemson. What do you think?
How about the similarities? Both teams nicknamed Tigers. Both teams have a home stadium nicknamed Death Valley, right?
That's right.
Both teams have a returning quarterback that is probably a first-round draft pick and will be in the Heisman Trophy race at the end of the season. So, some great narratives coming into this game, but for me, it comes down to really one thing, which it's really the same on both sides of the ball. We talked about it in conference previews. If you're good up front, you have the chance to be good. LSU loses its entire offensive line. Garrett Nussmeier is an absolute outstanding quarterback. 4,000 yards, 29 touchdowns last year. He will be, like I said, he'll be a first-round draft pick. Only I think one returning receiver. They went to the portal to get a couple of those guys. All their offensive line would be new. So, I mean, when you run into that, it's like, Plus, there's a press conference, I think it was this week, it might have been late last week, where Brian Kelly was asked about his offensive line, and he kind of hem-hawed around it, like, just kind of, and it didn't hit me the right way, so I'm thinking, like, he's got some issues up front, and that's not going to bode well against a Clemson defense. Like, Clemson up front on D, like, very, very good. They have been for years. Every year it seems like they'll line up 4 dudes, and then the next year they're in the NFL draft, So they're returning 6-8 starters on defense. Same on the offensive side. I think they have 9. Klubnik is the other quarterback for Clemson, who he's a stud. 3,600 yards passing. I think he ran for another 500-ish and scored 43 touchdowns last year. But the bonus for him, he has 4 of his offensive linemen back from last year. So who's better up front? Well, it's Clemson. For me, it's Clemson. Clemson is better up front on both sides of the ball. I think that's why they win this game. The line at 3.5, I'm not a big fan of. So for me, I would check the money line price. I saw it earlier; it was like -165. It might be a little higher than that, but I would prefer to play Clemson straight up to win at home instead of laying that hook out there at 3.5.
Yeah, I'm agreeing with you. I think this Clemson team, if you actually look at like the top 100 players all across the board, Clemson is just loaded with them. And it's not just looking at Kate Klubnik. I'm not mentioning just him. He's like one of the top 5 guys. I'm talking there's some big dudes on the defensive side, big dudes on the defensive line, corners. I was like, this is one of the better. This is the Dabo Sweeney team that you remember from years past when Lawrence was their quarterback. I mean, this is at that level, and people scrutinized him about not using a lot of the NILs and getting the transfers and stuff. But look what's happening right now. Lo and behold, in front of your face, his team made the playoff last year, and they're just better than ever. But I think when you talk about the losses between the two rosters, you said it. I think LSU lost a lot more on the roster side on this one, especially on the offensive line. And you're going against a very good and elite defensive line there that's going to put pressure on Nussmeier, maybe pressure that he hasn't seen in a while. I know I'm getting one of his I know that my Patriots are getting one of those tackles from LSU. Campbell, he's going to be playing for them on Sundays now. So that's a big loss for him. But I just don't like how LSU performs in these situations. Week one, they always have a primetime game. They're always playing one of these big teams. And lo and behold, Brian Kelly's playing a top 10 team. You've seen it before. He's just not great in these situations. I think he's 2-7 ATS last 9 versus top 25 opponents as well. So he beats the bad teams very handily. But when he goes against teams like this, then you got to do it at the road. not in your Death Valley, in somebody else's Death Valley. I think right out the gate, let's just do it this way. I think you just take them in the Clemson first half. I mean, if you're thinking you're hating the 3.5 on this one, that's probably the way I go. It's probably percentage wise, probably higher percentage of the total of the side is on Clemson anyways in the first half. And when they run down the hill and they pet that rock and that place is rock, they're going to come out there with their ears pinned back and go at Nussmeier and just absolutely thump. I just think I trust Clemson to come out here swinging and get it done. I like it in the first half. That's the way I'm going to be playing this one. All right, now it's time for my boys in the Hard Rock. They played here before. They've won here before, and it was just last year against Penn State. And now you got them playing the Canes of Miami. And everybody says it every time we talk about these teams. Miami is back. Miami's this. Is like every year we hear about it. Now they got Carson Beck. Now they get the transfers that they get. The defense is good. They held opponents to 250 yards of total offense at home last season. But you're going against a team that made the national championship, and they're locked and loaded too. Young quarterback. Is that going to be enough for Notre Dame to get over the hump? Coach, what do you think?
I think if you think Miami's back, like you should start doing crack or something, because they're not. I mean, it's they had a great season last year. I mean, that's awesome. Like Mary Cristobal, like he deserves a 10-3 year. That's great, awesome. The problem is you're not going to do that this year. Carson Beck is not Cam Ward. He's not CJ Carr. CJ Carr's from down the road here in Saline, Michigan. Like I mentioned on our show, we had him in our training organization when he was a freshman in high school. Like he's good. Like he's legit, and he had some time in the system. Like he played. He didn't play, but I mean he's with Notre Dame all of last year. It's not like he's fresh off the street. He's got time in the program, so I think he'll be fine. Sure, it's a big game. It's a venue, whatever. Okay, he's dealt with enough of that through his upbringing. He'll be fine. On the other end, Carson Beck, like, I mean, if I'm going to the transfer portal to get a guy to replace Cam Ward, I don't know why. I don't know. I mean, I don't get it, but I'm not getting Carson Beck in a freaking surgically repaired UCL. Like that's not going to be my guy. But that's who they got to work with. I will say this. I think Miami will be better defensively. They were awful, especially the last part of the year. Terrible defensively. This year, new defensive coordinator, Corey Hetherman, was at Minnesota last year. If you don't know who he is or don't know much about him, look it up. Like he played great defense in Minnesota. He's legit, and I think they will be better defensively. Can they stop Notre Dame? No. Notre Dame is built to win a national championship again. And they almost pulled it off last year. But they're going to do it again because they play great defense, and they will jam the football down your throat with Jeremiah Love, and that will take pressure off CJ Carr so that he can open up and play action, RPO, whatever they're going to do, right? And -2.5, like I get it. It's Notre Dame away on the road in Miami. It's hot, blah, 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 blah. -2.5, sorry, I'm taking Notre Dame all day. Like you're telling me to take them, and I'm going to. However, the better play, and I'll go back to the Ohio State game, this is kind of the better way, and I will play this one also. It'll be on the best bet list every Saturday or whatever day they're going to play. It's going to be Jeremiah Love for an anytime touchdown, and I don't care if it's -250. We're going to play it because he scores. He scores freaking touchdowns. He's a winning machine. So that's the play I like best, but I will back the Irish -2.5.
Yeah, and I mean you can get it on the money line too at like -130, 135 too. I mean it's
there too.
It's still a good line. I mean this is you said it. And maybe I got a little bit of bias. I don't, not in this case though. If you put Miami and you put Notre Dame and you put like all the key categories of winning a football game together and you just check the boxes, you may be able to check one on the other side, and that's QB. And that the only reason I would check QB is because I haven't seen anything out of CJ Carr. Yeah. It's like the running backs are better, the offensive line's better, The defense is better. The secondary is better. The coach is better for Notre Dame.
Yes.
It's everything. Boom, 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 boom. And the fact that Cristobal just in Miami just doesn't win these games. I think they're 0-4 ATS and straight up versus the top 10. They get in these situations they can't win. And you're telling me that Carson Beck is better than Cam Ward? Absolutely not.
No way.
1,000%. You're telling me Damian Martinez is better than any running back that they got behind him? Absolutely not. Because if that was the case, then those guys would have started over him and got more carries. And they didn't really replace him. They just said next man up. I just think Mario Cristobal is just going to be way over his head in this game. And we already saw what happens with Notre Dame going on the road week 1 versus a team that is on the up and come up against Texas A&M in a volatile environment at Texas Station with all those the cult leaders and the cheerleaders back there grabbing their crotch and going whatever they're doing with the I don't even know what it is. Yeah. And so they've been in this situation before. They're a veteran team. I think you got to take Notre Dame or pass on this one. I also like the total on this one at the under. I think that the defenses will be very stout and strong. Even with the Miami defense, they have the capability of holding teams to low amount of yards. You have a young quarterback back there that is going to be, I would say, running the ball a little bit more. I know Denbrook doesn't care to run. He wants to pass the ball, but he'll run the ball all day long if he's got he's got Jeremiah Love and Jadarian Price back there. He's also got this guy, Aeneas Williams, that no one's talking about. They're deep at running back. And the wide receivers are great. I can't say enough about this one. Notre Dame, and I like the under. That's the way I'd play this one. All right, let's go with the lackluster game because Coach picked it. It's not my fault. No, I'm kidding. We had to pick a singular game. It's going to be on a Monday. It's TCU versus UNC. It is Bill Belichick's inaugural game in college football head coach lore, and he's going against Sonny Dykes and TCU, playing him at home at Chapel Hill, North Carolina. Kenan Stadium will be rocking. Maybe Jordan will be there on the sideline. We'll have to see. But I'll pass it to you, Coach. What do you think about this game, TCU versus UNC?
Yeah, it is kind of a turd of a game, but it's the only one of the day, right? It's Labor Day, and we have to play a night game on Labor Day now, so they get the honor. Year 1 of the Belichick era, we all know the deal with the girlfriend and all that, and it's gay, and I don't even want to talk about it. But I will talk about this. Go, if you're doing Labor Day, go and just go drink beer and get a case of bourbon and just drink that. You'll be better off and just pass on this game. But if you really, really want to bet on this one, here's what I would do. I would wait and watch and see what North Carolina's offense does, and then maybe play some live bets. So here's the thing. TCU is a pretty good football team, 9-4 last year. Josh Hoover's a really good quarterback. If you don't know who he is, maybe he's the best one that you don't know about. But he threw for almost 4,000. They'll probably do it again. They're an air raid team that actually have a really good offensive line, but couldn't run the ball for some reason. Maybe it's because they just didn't run it enough. But if they figure out how to run the ball, they're going to be really, really dangerous. He'll have a couple new receivers from the portal, so I don't expect a drop off from their offense. Their defense might even be better than last year. Year 2 of Andy Avalos, the D coordinator, who used to be the head coach at Boise. But TCU's a really good football team. I know they have to go on the road and cross the country and blah blah blah. But what are we going to get from Carolina? I don't know. It's like a giant mystery. It's the mystery of the college football season. I don't know. I know that Belichick's a great coach in the NFL. Steve Belichick was a great defensive coordinator. Most of what he's done, I believe, is in the NFL too. So I don't know. I know that my guy that's at Purdue, when he was at North Carolina for the spring, he did say that he thought they were decent defensively. He said they're definitely better than they were the year before. So defensively, I think they'll be okay. But on offense, Gio Lopez, I'm sorry, he's a midget, a midget left-hander. Mm-hmm. If you want to see how midget left-hand quarterbacks play, just watch the Miami Dolphins. How's that working out? I don't know, but I don't like it. I don't. I will mention two guys. They do have running back that should be pretty special, Davion Gauss, and then there's a wide receiver who he's only a sophomore, but Jordan Shipp should be really good. I just don't know if Lopez can throw to them. I don't know what they're going to do. So watch them early, see how the offense performs, and then maybe we jump in on some of these numbers because it's TCU it's -3.5. So I don't particularly like that, but maybe that shifts as the the first quarter rolls on. Maybe you can jump in and pick up some live betting lines that make sense.
Yeah, I think this is a watch and see what happens. Maybe find some opportunities in the second half to see if there's, maybe UNC kind of dazzles them and then TCU kind of comes back. Yeah, you're seeing 3.5s on the board right now. Yeah. And I don't really understand the line. I would just think that this would be TCU, knowing what happened to them last year, they would be 7 or maybe something above the 7, but they're not. And I don't understand why, because UNC lost Amarian Hampton, who had 1,700 rushing yards last year. They don't have Jacoby Criswell. You mentioned Gio Lopez as their quarterback. Did he really dazzle at South Alabama, right? I think that's where he played. Yeah. And he wasn't like stellar at all. I mean, he was placing a great quarterback that was getting W's, but he wasn't doing much. Inexperience, the tailback and the slew of transfers that they have at the wide receiver. They do have some talent that's kind of not shown yet. Like you said, Coach, you know a little bit more about him than I do, but I haven't seen anything. Then you got to look at the coordinators. I mean, Steve Belichick is the one that has experience as a defensive coordinator in college. He was a DC at Washington last year. Freddie Kitchens is just an NFL journeyman OC coordinator or whatever. So I don't know what's going to happen there. They haven't done well at home. They were 0-7 ATS last season at home. They were 0-6 straight up and 1-5 in their last 6 meetings versus the Big 12. So they haven't done well versus the Big 12. I do like the running back that they brought in for TCU. You mentioned the running game was a problem for them. They didn't run the ball a lot. Cavalier Barnes comes over from UTSA. You know anything about him? He was hugging 1,000 yards in an offense that passed the ball a lot. And I think he's going to be a good addition to that offense. 14 returning starters, Josh Hoover coming back. A veteran offensive line that can block. They're very good in road openers, 9-2 ATS. I just don't understand the line on this one. And anything about like the ATS record with Sonny Dykes? He doesn't do well as a favorite. I mean, he's more better suited for a dog. That's what's keeping me away from this one. I just some weird chicanery on this one. I don't understand it, but live action, we could be changing our mind on that one if the line kind of plays a little bit more of a favorable element there. Maybe UNC scores quick, 2 quick scores, and we can jump on TCU, something like that. That's how I played this game. All right, we did it. 6-pack of winners, and we'll give you a bonus pick. But first, let's do best bet. All right, out of the 6, which play do you like the most, Coach?
I'm going to go with Jeremiah Smith anytime touchdown. I played it almost once I saw it last year. It was just automatic every week, and it was the same with your running back from Notre Dame. Same thing, just every week, just play it because it just cashed. It cashed so much you just couldn't say no.
Yeah, I mean, you got to go. Of course, in my area, can't get a prop on the legal books. I have to go talk to a bookie or go to the offshores. But yeah, that is legitimate. It's going to be Jaguar Jeremiah. Come here, run the 20, the 10, touchdown, Ohio State.
Idiot.
Well, my best bet that I'm looking on the board, I'm going to be taking that. I think I like that total with Auburn versus Baylor. I think there's going to be a lot of points scored in this one because Auburn was an under team last year in a lot of cases, but when the total was high, they got over. And of course, the offense are going to be clicking. If they know Baylor knows how to run the offense, they looked real good at the end of the year. Now they've gelled. And I think this Auburn team is going to be really impressive with the talent they have. And of course, in the passing game, which is what Baylor's weakness is. So it's going to be over. 58.5. And of course, we got another bonus game, a little bit something out of the non top 25 or a look that we have that is outside of the bigger games. I'll start with you, Coach. What do you like?
Yeah, I'll go with one just because I have a connection. Louisiana Monroe will host St. Francis of PA. If anybody followed me during college basketball, St. Francis, PA actually made the NCAA tournament. And St. Francis is roughly 6 miles from the house I grew up in back in PA. So I watched a lot of basketball at St. Francis. Not really a football school. They're an FCS program, which next year all of the sports at St. Francis will be Division III. So they're not moving up, moving down. And in that program, it's tough. It's a tough program, and there's a ton of kids there that probably don't belong in an FCS program to begin with. So where I'm going with this is Louisiana Monroe has way more talent than St. Francis. Bryant Vincent was in his first year last year at ULM. Great job. Turned around from 2-10 to 5-7. They actually were the top rushing team in the Sun Belt. And they get 3 offensive linemen back. The quarterback's back. I think they'll continue to run the ball. It's kind of their mantra, their culture. And I think they just beat the shit out of St. Francis. So the line right now, it's 23.5. And I'd probably play it into the 30s. Just I'm sorry. Like I know St. Francis head coach played at my alma mater, coached at my high school. I know who he is. He's been there for 15 years. He played in the NFL. Great dude, runs a great program, but he's just way, way outmanned. So if you're looking for, kind of one of these off the wall plays, Louisiana Monroe minus 23.5.
Yeah, and I have one for myself as well. And I'm going to write a blog on it too, just to give everybody the full breakdown. You can go check that out. I'll have that out tomorrow. It's going to be Mississippi State versus Southern Miss. I talked about it in a video, and I think Coach talked about it briefly on one of the conference previews. But this Southern Miss team is going to be ready to rock. And this is a team that only won one FCS game last season. They bring Charles Huff over, who was the head coach for Marshall. They didn't re-sign him, even though they won the Sun Belt Championship. They didn't even play in their bowl game because everybody jumped ship to go to Southern Miss. They bring Braylon Braxton over, the quarterback, who was 8-1 straight up. They bring over 13 people on the defensive side. They also bring a great linebacker from the FCS that was just a key pivotal guy for that defense. He's going to be great. They did all the right things from a roster standpoint, and they basically Marshall in a Southern Miss uniform. Now, if you know anything about Mississippi State, they beat UMass and East. I forget what the one you told
Eastern
me, Coach.
Kentucky.
Eastern Kentucky, the FCS. That was the only 2 wins that they had last season. And from when we broke that down, not many changes in the roster to make themselves better. Maybe getting Blake Shapen back at quarterback. I know he was hurt last year, but it doesn't matter. And they're playing in Southern Miss, of all places. They have to go to the G5 school because they suck so bad. And they're and they're a double-digit dog in this situation. It makes absolutely no sense. Give me Southern Miss. Plus the points, and guess what? Might as well just sprinkle on the money line. Mind you, they lost to Toledo by 27 points last season. I'm talking about Mississippi State. Yeah. MAC school that didn't even make the MAC championship. That tells you everything you need to know about that Mississippi State Bulldogs team. Take Southern Miss. That's going to do it for the show. Coach, you got anything going on? We got any packages you're going to be giving out for the college football season you want to tell the people about?
Oh, always. As always, I'll have a max bet that'll be available, probably every day, Thursday, Friday, Saturday games. Be a max bet, $49, and that'll be a must win with some kind of backing. Typically, that comes with a month. So, this weekend we'll start off on Thursday night. We'll have a max bet. If you purchase that, we'll cash it. If we don't, you know what? You'll get 1 month of all the max bets for free anyway. And I've done pretty well. I don't win them all, but I win a fair percentage of max bets. So it's a win-win, I think. And we'll do that throughout the season. And I do believe you can pick up the entire season. I will find out what that is, and I'll post that on my Telegram. I don't want to give you a wrong price on that.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Well, I got a deal going on with college football and my elite package, which is college football and NFL. You buy 1 month, you get the second month for free. It's only $100 for college, $175 for the elite package. Go check that out. I am ending the deal on Saturday once we start watching all the big games start kicking off. I'll let it run through Thursday and Friday, and go sign up today. 115 units the last 4 years. I track everything. And I always give you updated records, full transparency, of course. Go check that out. College football, my best sport. But that's going to do it here for Player Performance Week 1 College Football Edition. I am Guns Picks. That's Coach Rick. Let's cash some tickets. Let's dominate the boat. And as always, Coach,
Giddy up.
and let's keep dancing. Boop.
Cut my life into pieces. This is my last resort. Suffocation.